In this video, I'm going to be showing you how I make the most delicious roasted tomato soup. It only uses about 7 ingredients, and I promise you, people of all skill levels will be able to make this. Beginners, check this out, and you just have to make it yourself. G'day everybody, welcome to my Aussie Gardening Kitchen. If it's your first time here, my name's Darren, but please call me Daz. I really can't wait to show you this roasted tomato soup recipe, so let's get into it. Let's get stuck straight in. I'm using my frozen tomatoes from last year's crop. All I do is I core them and I freeze them, and next season, or say winter, I take them out as needed. And in this case, I'm making a soup, and I've got another recipe that I'm also making as I'm filming this, but we're focusing on the soup today. Now, while they're semi-frozen, I'll cut the bigger tomato pieces down into similar sizes of the other tomatoes. There's 3 varieties here: San Marzano, Roma tomatoes, and a Gross Lease tomato, which is a bigger tomato. And they're all going to combine well for the most awesome soup. This recipe is going to use a high-speed blender, and it's going to puree the soup. So seeds and skins, no worries. I just leave them all in there. This is a home recipe, so don't be too fussy. You don't have to. Now, people could argue that the seeds, when pureed, might make it a little bit bitter, but in this recipe, I don't find that to be the case. You wouldn't even know there's seeds and skins in it when I'm done. And again, I'm using a high-speed blender, and that's going to break things down nicely and give a nice smooth soup. First of all, I'll get some cracked black pepper, and I'll sprinkle that all over each of the trays. Then I'll get some fresh homegrown garlic cloves, sprinkle those on each tray. Fresh homegrown onions, thickly sliced, on each tray. I don't actually put salt at this stage. I'm going to season it later, so I'll hold off on the salt right now. And then with the onions, I'll just break them up a little bit, those rings, just to get them separated, just so they can cook and break down with the tomatoes and the garlic. I'll get my fingers in there and give it a quick little mix, not too much. I just want to break things up a little bit and move things around. Then I'll grab my olive oil, a nice splash of olive oil all over the tomatoes, and then I'll give that all a good mix in again with my fingers. I've got an oven preheated at 200 degrees Celsius, Fahrenheit, will be on the screen right now. And I'll get those tomatoes into the oven and baking away at that temperature, and remembering that I'm actually doing a very large batch here, and you won't be making as much as me, more than likely anyway. Now, it's going to depend on your oven and how fast it cooks, but in my case, it took me about 20 minutes to get mine to this stage, where I'm getting a lot of colouring and flavour coming out of all those beautiful tomatoes and garlic and onion. The dark patches I'm not worried about, they're going to be flavour, but you want to be careful not to have it too dark, because very, very dark tomato skins are going to give bitterness to the soup. So if you do have too many dark skins in your soup, just pick them out. They're going to be really easy to pick out. So this is pretty much a halfway point. So what I'm going to do here is just give everything a bit of a mush up and break the onions down a bit more so they can actually break down further and give us more flavour in the soup. Give the tomatoes a bit of a mix around, flip some of those skins over so other skins can cook off a little bit. Oh, and the garlic will go beautifully mushy too. It'll end up like a toothpaste texture. It's so good. Back into the oven for about another 15 to 20 minutes. As I said, it will depend on your oven. They all vary slightly. And I've now got these tomatoes, well, this tomato mix, at a beautiful situation where the moisture has come out of the tomatoes, excess water has evaporated, but I've still got liquid in some of the trays. Ingredients have browned off, they've mushed down. Oh, I just want to get a spoon in there and eat it straight away. I just love it at this stage. As I said, if you've got too many skins that are a bit too dark, this is the stage where you can quite easily pick them out with a fork. No worries at all. In my case, I'm going to leave quite a few of them in. I like that flavour that it gives. The smell right now is absolutely incredible. This is just an awesome base to a soup, or even a sauce. But today, we're doing tomato soup. What you're seeing here is I'm just measuring off my tomato soup mix into a saucepan, because I'm doing 2 recipes in the one go here, and the other recipe is actually canned tomato sauce. So for here anyway, I'm just taking out my tomatoes into the saucepan. In your case, you would just take your tomatoes off your tray and put them into a blender. High-speed blender if you've got one, but a standard blender is going to be fine, or a food processor. Please be very careful. Your mix is going to be hot, so just remember that you are dealing with a hot liquid that can splash, and because it's a bit pulpy, it's going to stick to the skin, so just watch out for that. Now you are seeing a blender that's looking quite dirty, and that's because I've actually done the other recipe first, where I've pureed my tomato mix for my canned tomatoes, and they come out quite well actually. I'm pretty happy about that. So don't stress when you see me using a dirty looking blender. It's actually all the same ingredients, or the same tomato mix, and I'm now adding other stuff to the blender to make my soup right now. I'm adding chicken stock here, but by all means you can use a vegetable stock, and I'm just adding that for a little bit of different flavour, as well as a bit more volume to the soup. In goes the tomatoes, that beautiful tomato mix that was prepared in the oven, and again the smell is so good. Cannot wait for this. And you can add maybe a quarter teaspoon of salt just to give it a bit of flavour. Again, I'm not doing it because of the chicken stock, and I'll check it later for seasoning, and I can add salt later. You can always add it, but you can never take it away. In goes a little bit of basil, fresh basil, or basil as my friends overseas say. Olive oil, just a little bit of olive oil. In fact, it's extra virgin olive oil. I love that flavour that it gives. Lid on securely. Make sure your lid's on nice and tight, and then get in there and push the high button and blend away. Now with a high-speed blender, it's going to take care of all those seeds and all those skins. There's no reason at all to strain this with a high-speed blender. It's absolutely fantastic having one of these machines. If you don't have one, I highly recommend it. If you like the look of the one that's in my video, I'll leave a link down below as to where you can buy one like mine. With a high-speed blender, I should also point out that that vortex action and the high speed that it has will actually heat up and cook the soup. It's incredible. So you can actually leave the soup in for say 4 or 5 minutes, and it's actually going to bring it up to a hot temperature where it's actually safe to eat. But if you like, pour it into a saucepan, bring it up to a simmer, and then you can serve a piping hot soup that way. I've put mine into the saucepan, and I've just heated it up a bit more just because I want it a lot hotter. Now, when you're serving it, once it's in the bowl, the choice is yours whether to add cream or not. I don't want the cream in there. I personally don't want that flavour. I'm quite happy with the consistency, and because of the high-speed blender, the creaminess that it's already given it, because it's absolutely pureed all the flesh, all the seeds, all the skin, and it's combined really well. I'm serving this with a freshly grilled cheese sandwich. Just, gooey cheese and crunchy, toasty bread dipped in that tomato soup. Oh, you can't go wrong. I'm not giving you the recipe for the grilled cheese sandwich, but if you'd like to see me show you how I make a grilled cheese sandwich, let me know in the comments, and by all means, I'll do a video for you. Once you've made this soup, you're not going to buy tomato soup again. This is so good, and yes, you can freeze it and store it away for future. If you wouldn't mind, I'd love for you to click on this video on the screen right now. Thank you so much for being here. I do appreciate it, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.